Hello, everyone. Welcome to WOLCS Talk, a presentation of the West Oak Lane Charter School. My name is Rick Wolfel. My guest, as always, is Dr. Deberra Peoples-Lee, West Oak Lane Charter's Chief Executive Officer. We'll be talking about what's been going on at the school and the approach of its 25th anniversary. Dr. Lee, it's been a long time since we've done one of these. I didn't realize it had been quite this long. It's good to have you back with us.
Oh, it's good to be back, and you're right. I didn't realize that a year has gone by already.
Been just about since we last spoke, and we are now roughly 3 years into the pandemic. And what is going on at West Oak Lane Charter right now? How has the process evolved?
Well, I think I would describe it as us being in a new normal, with the ability to bring back some of our in-person activities that we haven't been able to do since 2019. We had a really busy summer, focused on hiring new staff and training our staff and communicating with our parents about what the new school year was going to look like. We were able to do our in-person kindergarten readiness program. Again, we hadn't been able to do any of these things since the pandemic, but to bring the little ones back into the building to prepare them for their kindergarten beginnings in the summer, as well as focus on some students who had been challenged by any learning loss during the pandemic when we were virtual. So the whole month of July of 2022, we were able to do those summer programs in person. And we had staff available to be able to conduct those programs. We were also able to bring our staff in the building to do our August 2-week professional development, where they come in and do their training, set up their classrooms, and all of the things we need to do to open the school year. And then excitingly, on September the 7th, we were able to have a little traditional celebration outside and welcoming, cutting the ribbon to the doors and welcoming all of our students all at once into the building for in-person learning.
It's been a while since you've been able to do that, obviously, have all the students here. So how satisfying was it to get to that point where you were into, as you say, the new normal when you had your faculty, staff, and all your students here at the same time?
It was ecstatic. If you can possibly imagine, we were at a point where we couldn't even remember what we did prior to the pandemic because it had been so long since we were unable to do those things. But the teachers were excited, the staff were excited. Obviously, our parents were excited that we weren't on hybrid where they only came certain days. School bus transportation has still been a challenge just because of the lack of CDL drivers for these bus companies. But overall, everyone was thoroughly excited to get back to some level of what school is supposed to feel like for everyone.
You mentioned your staff. What percentage of the faculty that was here 3 years ago is still here?
I would say probably 90% of our staff is still here. We kept everyone engaged while they were teaching virtually. And when we actually went to hire, we were either replacing some long-term sub positions, so it wasn't like anyone had left. And we had actually only 2 teachers that relocated that we had to replace in the system. So 90% of our staff have remained. And I'm really excited about that because everyone's kind of changed priorities since the pandemic of what kind of work they really want to do moving forward. And the teaching workforce has been impacted greatly by that.
That's great for the students to come back here and see familiar faces. Obviously, they were challenged, their families were challenged, but it's got to help to come back and you see teachers that you know, that you're familiar with, even if you're not in their class anymore. They're still a familiar face.
Without a doubt. And the teachers feel the same way. You know, even though they might have taught the student last year, they always stay connected throughout the school, the student's time here, because they remember them in their classrooms. And that familiarity is important. It's extremely important just to be able to establish and reestablish the climate and culture of caring in our building.
What are some of the lessons that you take away from this whole experience? And I'm thinking workplace lessons as far as how you make things work in deference to what is going on, because the new normal now is different than what it was 3.5 years ago, certainly what it was 5 or 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the lessons you take away, and how do you reestablish your priorities?
Well, I think all of us have had to focus more on our mental health to navigate what we increasingly feel is a heavy weight that's going on throughout our world. And so we have intentionally been creating an environment that protects and promotes mental health and safety for our students and families and our staff. And we recognize that employees aren't interested in returning to what things used to look like pre-pandemic, because things have totally changed. And us understanding as an employer that home and work balance is a urgent priority for our teachers and our staff. So we intentionally have times of work mental health breaks. When we do professional development, instead of bringing actually in lessons or training, we allow teachers to have a mental health day instead of that professional development training, just so that we're allowing them to know we recognize that homework balance is important, so that they're energized and committed to be able to fulfill the duties of making sure that our children are educated.
Telling them that they have this kind of situation available to them, taking a mental health day is important, but there is still a stigma attached to being treated for or dealing with mental health issues. So how do you get around that, or reassure your faculty, your staff, whomever, that this isn't a mark against them, it isn't a sign of weakness, that they need to take a mental health day? That's a challenge for a lot of employers, and some employers deal with it very well and some don't at all.
Well, to be honest, we have always been a caring environment. Pre-pandemic, we always have an open door to listen to concerns and be able to support our teachers and our staff. But one thing we also have expanded is ensuring that the healthcare benefit package that we offer to our employees, which they don't have to pay a contribution into, continues to provide them services that they can access so that they are confidential. And that they can access them 24/7 if they need to. And we have a very caring HR department who also always has a door open for staff to be able to come in and share whatever their concerns are. And we make it a point of supporting them in any way that we can. And this is pre-pandemic. This is just what we do. This is the culture that we've established in this building.
Thinking about safety, and I'm thinking about your students right now. Obviously, you are reaching out to their parents and communicating with them, and one of the things that the staff here excels at is communicating with the parents and with the community. But as far as students, and I'm thinking a lot of your students are the ages of my 3 grandnieces who come up on this podcast once in a while, but what kind of things can you do so that a 9 or 10-year-old feels safe coming to school in the morning? And obviously, we talk ahead of time, there are only so many things that you can control, but within that framework, if you will, what kind of things can you do to reassure the students and make them feel more comfortable?
I think we reassure our students and our parents by adult presence on our premises. So for instance, if you're coming in the morning, we have 10 security staff as well as administrative staff at every door and entrance that approaches this building. So when parents drop their students off, they're coming into a gated environment where they hand them off directly to an adult in this building. So that makes them feel safe, that they're handing them off to safety. And once our children are in the building, again, we have enough adult supervision, and I added a second layer of security guards in the building through a security service vendor. So that we not only have our own in-house security staff, we have a vendor providing security guards as well. That allows our students to feel safe in this building. It allows them to feel safe when they go out for recess, because there's always adult eyes looking and watching what's going on in our environment.
That's got to make it easier for them to focus on schoolwork and not have to worry, at least in theory, about other things. And it's obvious to anybody walking in the door that they're being observed, that they're under observation. That's the best way I know how to put it.
That's a good way of saying it.
I'm doing my best here.
That's a great way
I signed a number of documents when I came in this morning.
That's right.
to do this.
That's right. We always want to know who's in our building and what their purpose is, obviously. And that, one thing we haven't done, which has actually been a safety measure as well as a convenience measure, is we've limited the number of in-person large gatherings that we've had in the building. So parent-teacher conferences, for instance, where we used to invite all of the parents in the building and everybody would be roaming around, they are still being done virtually. But that's become actually a convenient measure for our parents, because they don't have to rush from work, get babysitters and all of those kinds of things, and they have one-on-one attention from the teacher during those conferences. And in our back-to-school nights and things like that, we still do those virtually as well, because we are still maintaining a mask mandate in our building. The transmission rate in our counties around us and in Philadelphia is still at a moderate rate, which means transmission is still happening. So we use that mitigation effort, and we still keep that in place. But I think, and I also wanted to add that our staff, we provide a level of safety to them by having security being able to walk them to their cars that are parked in the parking lot when they leave in the evening. So that everyone feels that somebody's always watching what's going on in our environment, that they feel safe when they enter and leave our building.
Coming up, the 25th anniversary of West Oak Lane Charter School. You've been here how long, Dr. Lee?
I've been here 17 years.
17 of the 25.
Yes.
Thinking what it took to get this school off the ground, and you weren't here then, obviously, but you wonder how they envision what things would look like 25 years from now and how the reality compares to what their vision was. Have you ever thought much about that, about how this place has evolved over the last quarter century?
Well, we have moments as charter school leaders to reflect. They aren't as many as we would like to really reflect on the work that we've done, because we're so busy doing the work and being able to manage it, review it, revise it, and make sure that we're constantly meeting our mission and our goals. We've come a long way because of the culture of team and family that we've created in this building. And when I remember back of how flat our organization was when we started, with people not really knowing what their roles were, and creating that into a functional organization where we've obviously established more departments within the school to be able to manage specific tasks and for people to know what those tasks and responsibilities are. But we are so team and family oriented that has allowed us to grow in the way that we have grown over these 25 years.
I'm thinking a lot of that is recruiting or hiring faculty, staff that understand that vision and buy into it. And maybe some of them buy into it after they get here, but I'm going to guess that the vast majority have that mindset before they walk in the door.
Absolutely, and we're recruiting with that level of mindset. So if they're not identifying that they understand or share what our values are, then they're not brought into the building in the first place. But we grow a lot of people from within our own organization. So they have been here in one capacity and grown into another capacity and have adapted that culture over the years. So they know what that culture is, what it feels like. And as we recruit people from the outside, let them know that this is the way we operate. This is who we are. Are you a good match for our organization? Some people have been good matches and others have not. And then those people are encouraged to either adapt to what we're doing or have the opportunity to move on.
What kind of plans do you have for the 25th anniversary?
We are so thrilled and excited. The one thing we've done is we've established a foundation for the school. And we've been trying to do that for a number of years, but it is finally in the works and almost at its completion. We're just really waiting on the IRS's stamp on it. We have our board of directors for that foundation. So we want to highlight the foundation as a part of our 25th anniversary because that's a really major goal. And obviously we want to reflect on all of our accomplishments over these 25 years. We just received our 5th 5-year renewal from the School District of Philadelphia to be able to operate as a charter school. We have brought on 3 new board members. So the idea of just continuing to build and strengthen this organization from our academic program through our leadership is what my focus is for celebrating these 25 years. We still remain one of the largest and oldest single-site charter schools in the state of Pennsylvania. And that's something to really be proud about, and we are extremely proud.
And you have a lot of people that would like to get their sons and daughters here. I'll have you touch on the number of applicants that you've got for a 23-24 school year. I had to think about where we were for a couple of moments for the 23-24 school year.
Yes. We received almost 4,000 applications. We participate in Apply Philly Charter, which is a program that parents can apply for charter schools through this one system. We had over 4,000 applications, and we only really have about 200 available seats for those 4,000 applications.
And where do most of these students come from? A lot of them are from the neighborhood, but many are not as well.
Right, and because charter schools, you can live in any zip code within the city, so they're from a large and wide variety throughout the city. Students who are applying that have siblings who are actually still here do have sibling preference, so that's how we've established such a large family base because of that sibling preference. But I would still say 60% of those applicants are coming from outside of our immediate neighborhood.
What kind of things are you planning for the 25th anniversary, you and your team?
We just partnered with a firm that's meeting regularly with Michelle and myself to talk about our plans. We do have a date set for Friday, September the 22nd, to have our gala. We are solidifying the location of that gala, but at that event, we will be honoring Congressman Dwight Evans, who is one of the co-founders of our school, as well as providing scholarships to alumni who are attending college and career. So we're planning those events, and then we'll have some events once a month to celebrate our students, our teachers, our board members, and our WOLCS supporters throughout the year once that gala takes place.
Over your 17 years here, what achievements are most meaningful to you?
It's always first about our kids. That continually since 2000 and my first graduating class of 2007, I've been managing the data of where our kids go when they leave here. And when I continue to see that 60% are going to the best high schools in this city, continues to excite me and motivate me to do the work that I do. Because students should have a choice too of where they want to go to high school, and when they meet the criteria to get into these best schools, I know we're doing some great work here. And that continues to excite me and motivate me. And then obviously the team of people that work here at this school. I always want to emphasize, I do not do this work alone. I could not do this work alone. It all is about the team and the family of leaders and teachers and staff, no matter what their role or title is. We all work together to ensure that our kids get what they deserve, and that's the best educational experience that they can have.
You're going to be here hopefully for a while longer, but what do you think your legacy will be when the day comes that you retire, or what would you like it to be?
I've been pondering over that question in my mind as I'm reflecting on the work that I've done. I want the school to, I believe now that the school is at a much different level and in a different space than it was when I came. And I would like it to be in a higher level space when I leave. That being one of the best charter schools in the country, not just the city, not just the state. And that's from an academic standpoint, that's from a governance standpoint, and that's from an operational standpoint. That those three sectors of what we do here is the business of education that we're focused on. Our students, which is the academic program, the operation of the school, which is our internal leadership, and the governance of the school, which is our board and our other West Oak Lane Charter School supporters. I want to see them strengthen and be strong to extend 20 years, 40 years, 50 years into the future. And if I could have any engagement in that process, even once I retire, of volunteering on the foundation specifically to make sure that our school is getting the resources and the support that's needed to carry that into the future, I would be excited to do that as well.
Are you comfortable that the framework has been laid so when the day comes that you are not here, but the people that follow you in whatever role they have will understand what that vision is and will continue it and not go off on some wild tangent?
Yes, I think we've solidified what that vision and mission is, but we are working on a formal succession plan by bringing in a professional consultant that helps us work through that, because that is a team process. It's not a CEO decision or anything like that. It's a process of which we will be trained to go through to ensure that the succession plan for the school and all of our leadership roles is formalized, and that everyone knows that the plan exists. And it's like a playbook. Go get the playbook, and here are the plays, as in sports. And I know even now, days that I'm not here, that this school is still in a good space, and it's being led properly.
Well, we're not trying to force you out the door. We hope you're here for quite a while yet. Dr. Lee, thank you very much for spending time with us, as always.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Always. Thank you, Rick.
Dr. Deberra Peoples-Lee, our guest on this edition of WOLCS Talk, presented by West Oak Lane Charter School. My name is Rick Wolford. Please join us next time.